I want to welcome you back to the podcast, How to Play the Game of College, Season 3. And again, this theme, as y'all know it already, is keeping it real about college. Y'all, I say I'm excited a lot, but I'm really, really excited over this interview. I'm actually interviewing my little sister, family, former student, you name it. And so I want to welcome to the podcast today, Miss Seria Ross. How you doing today, Seria?
I am great. I'm great. Second week of school just started this week. So we are at the beginning and working our way into getting comfortable with the school year.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. Look, I feel like more great comes in every day, but but I'm good.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, as we know, your name is Seria Ross. And Seria, you're doing some great things here in the city of Memphis in the field of education. So if you could start us off by just telling us, a little bit about your background and what you currently do now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, my name is Seria Ross. Currently, I am a college match counselor at KIPP Memphis Collegiate High School.
Okay.
Under the KIPP 4 team. So we work with under the KIPP region, there's a KIPP 4 team, and our main focus is college and career readiness.
Okay.
I'm a match counselor specifically for the juniors inside of the school. And what we do in my class is establish and begin to think about what we're going to do as far as a matriculation plan. So there's a lot of research on college readiness as well as career readiness. Mm-hmm. And pivoted into education when I was at the University of Memphis. I studied sports leisure and management. But being around you and having you as a mentor and the Center for Academic Retention and Enrichment Services offices, and as well as other classmates and colleagues, and doing STEM Academy,
right?
Those things. When I saw the passion that you and others had, and how passionate you all were with helping me as a college student, and how I could take that and translate it into helping other high school students, it just pivoted me into education. And I've been, next year, I make 10 years that I've been in education.
Has it been 10 years?
Yes.
Or I guess I earned every one of these grades. No, this yeah. Wow. Just to hear sometimes with folks, we have another guest who came from the University of Memphis, Dr. Amanda Jordan, who was on the season as well.
Yeah.
Same as you. I've been knowing her for a while. So yeah, it's always just great to hear the progress, and especially those who decide to go into the field of education. So again, right. Seria, we're super excited to have you on tonight. So outside of what you do, right? Who is Seria? Like, what do you do outside of work, or what do you do from day to day here in your daily life?
I love peace, so I love peace around me. So especially going into my 30s, I've been really working on balancing what I do as well as community work, what I do every day with my students, but also making sure that I take time to uplift me and take time to understand where I am in life and where I want to continue to go. I love my family, as you can see.
Yeah.
I love traveling. I love God. I am a testimony of grace and mercy, and covering me and giving me a path, and not knowing, but your faith, you have to have the faith to follow that path. So, and I like community work. I like being able to connect. I'm big on connecting resources. If it's something that I can't do, I like to be able to call someone and say, hey, this is what's needed, and I give them the resource. So I just like to say I'm around, still figuring things out. I love learning. So no matter how old I get, no matter who I'm around, if I'm able to learn, I'm going to soak up all the knowledge that I can.
That's great to hear. And of course, Seria's being humble. And I know you were awarded 40 under 40 here in Memphis. And was it the University?
The University of Memphis, Memphis State A, the LE.
Yes. I think you were one of the first groups, right, for that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so again, I say all that to say, again, it speaks to your character. She didn't mention any of that. You mentioned more the service and education, right? But I want to definitely give you your flowers because you're doing some really great things in the city with youth. And I know you a whole just career of just working with youth, which is huge and much needed here in the city of Memphis. And so as we talked about earlier, the theme of this season, I was sitting down one day in the summer and I'm like, I don't want to just do a podcast anymore just to do it. I really want to make sure that we're hitting home with a lot of students. And I feel like in 2024, you have a lot of students, as you know, by working with students at KIPP. Sometimes they're questioning, like, am I good enough to go to college? Or if I made a mistake, do I just, stop going to college or whatever the case may be? I know you, Seria, so this makes it easier with it. I don't even have a list of questions because I know you from back in the day. But I actually met you at the University of Memphis. And I know you mentioned the department earlier, CARE, Center for Academic Retention Enrichment. And so, Seria, if you can, just tell us a little bit about, I want students to hear and parents to hear about, things that we maybe had to overcome in order to get to Seria Ross, the 40 under 40, right, that we see now. Who is the person in the past, and maybe talk about some of those obstacles?
Okay. First, I would say the transition from high school. I attended East High School, and from East High School, I graduated and went to the University of Memphis. And that transition was a shock. And instead of turning that shock into using that energy to actually go after, it made me draw back.
Right.
So I didn't really go to class here or there, but I tried to distract myself. That's what I'll say. I tried to distract myself with not being on campus or just finding any other reason not to be around. But it's only because it was such a big shock. But from that big shock and not going to class, it landed me an academic warning. And from academic warning, I went to academic probation. So it's semester after semester, and I'm not doing as well as I know I can do. But again, the shock, learning how to be adaptable to this new environment, new students, all of that. And so from there, I almost get into my second probation, which at the time, if you made it to your second probation, you had to sit out for a semester.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I always thought about my mom saying, when you come back home, you got to have a bachelor's degree. So I knew wrong, but it was just the timidness of not knowing what to do on a college campus.
Yeah.
And so what I ended up doing, when I got the second probation, I received a letter that said I had to get an academic advisor. That's when I started coming to you all, the CARES office, which was the Center for Academic Retention Enrichment Services. And part of being under an academic advisor, you have to take them your schedule. So they have to know the classes that you have for the semester. You have to show them study habits. You have to show them how you're completing your work. All of the different things you show them allows them to see how you are matriculating and going through your classes. So my issue was timidness, but some people's issue may have been studying or not learning how to take tests. So an academic advisor covers all of those lanes. And from having an academic advisor, remember I came to you. And I asked about a work study job because I'm like, they're helping me. I'm getting better. I still was struggling, but I needed more time. But I was blessed to be able to become you all's work study, and as work study student and having a report for academic advice.
Right.
Double the win.
Exactly.
So on my breaks at the office, I could be doing homework, but I also could get up and go right to your office and say, am I doing this right? Or can you help me? And so going from academic warning to probation and having to do everything. And it's almost when you have to report to an academic advisor and you think you're like grown in college, it makes you think like, where's your maturity level? You're having to show someone how you study, how you do your homework. So it started changing my mindset. And then when I became a work study student and really got a chance to be up under you and learn how you were with students, I saw the buy-in. I saw how students, they will come, and I worked the front desk. I'm here to see Shawn. I'm here to see Shawn. I'm here to see Shawn. And I said, who is Shawn? So it's my academic advisor, and seeing the buy-in you have is seeing how you help them. You didn't hold their hand, but you helped them specifically, giving them resources and tools right there at the school. There were services right there in the building. There were ways to be involved. You had STEM Academy, and that's what pivoted me from academic warning, probation, academic advisory, work study, and then I did STEM Academy. Heard about it. Prior to me becoming with STEM Academy, I used to kind of help. Remember,
put the notebooks together.
Put the notebooks together, and I started hearing about it and seeing how other students that look like me were able to help students that look like them, but they were in high school.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to really see that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's something I can be a part of.
Yeah.
And the point of my little brother, remember David was in STEM camp.
Yeah.
And seeing how rewarding it was for my little brother, I'm like, okay, that's something I could do.
Right.
And I feel like from STEM, the time I went through that at STEM Academy, that's when I really had that epiphany.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do this.
Right.
Change your grades around. The first semester after being up under you all's leadership and academic advisory, their first semester afterwards, I got Dean's List.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got Dean's
Yeah.
List. It was my first time getting Dean's List.
Right.
And I credit myself for taking in what you all taught me, but I also credit you all for being so profound and being so articulate and not holding my hand, but showing me like it's in you. Jackie and Melissa and all of you all, like you all were so instrumental at time. And there were many things that were distracting. You know, when you're a freshman in college, you're dating or having a party. All of that is real life. So we're just not going to class. It was a lot of distractions, but I made those distractions bigger than what I wanted to do because I wanted to be distracted instead of going to class.
So true. Yes.
The talks, the real talks, not holding back like, hey, little sister, this is what you can do. These are what's available. I didn't know about a BSA. I didn't know about any of those things.
Yeah.
It introduced me to the right people, and I took those conversations and made my own and started making connections. And here I am today. Yeah. And I love the story because I'm not ashamed to say I was
I'm
not ashamed to talk about probation or anything like that. That's what helped me get to where I am. And that's what helped me see, like, I can do this.
So true. So true. And again, that's why I wanted you on this season. You were one of the first on the list. I was like, I have Seria because again, you know, I like to say life be lifing, right? Yeah. And you know, everybody, sometimes it's a struggle, as you know, to get to college. But when we get there, it's like another struggle to stay in college, right? You say you got all these distractions and life is happening, right? And so I think that folks or students, right, hearing your testimony to say, hey, this happened to me, right? I was able to overcome it, and this is what I'm doing now. It really speaks volumes to so many different folks. So again, just thank you for sharing that journey. And I feel like you read the books already. I know you got a copy of the book. There you go. There you go. Yes. And so I love how you talk about, you know, and I want to kind of hit on it a little bit because I feel like I'm hearing that a lot this season. You know, sometimes imposter syndrome or even dealing with sometimes mental health, right? And especially when we think about, I was in Atlanta a few weeks ago. I was talking to a person in leadership, and she said, to be honest, you know, a lot of my girls don't really suffer with academics. They sometimes feeling like they belong at the table, right?
Yes.
And these are Black women. What's your thoughts on, you know, talking to that individual, maybe a new incoming female student, you know, in whatever school, right? That says, hey, I got here, but I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough to really be in this space. Any advice that you have for that particular student?
Yes. The first thing I would say is you belong. You belong. This is a part of your journey. This is part of your path. Our lives are predestined. If you're here, you belong. And a lot of times it starts with you.
Yeah, so true.
Tell yourself, I belong. Then you have to take charge in saying that I belong by making goals, by making short-term and long-term goals, by advocating for yourself. Saying I belong is the beginning. You have to put in the work behind the I belong.
Say faith without action, right? Yeah, right.
So you can say it, but then add the actions, because the more you put action behind the statement I belong, the more it becomes believable to you. I could have all the help in the world, but if I didn't believe that I could do it, it would just been a rotating, doing the same thing. But once I started putting the action behind it and saw how I started moving, and I'm moving, and it may not have been leaps and bounds at the time. It may just been just a little movement here. Okay, you got Dean's List. Okay, you got an A here. You got it takes. You got to be ready to know that when you make the steps and take the necessary actions behind it, it may not happen overnight, but you have to be steadfast.
So true.
Unmoving. You got to keep at it.
Right.
Even on those times where it's not going to happen how you want it. Even when you say, man, I studied, I did good, I didn't pass it. It's okay.
Right.
You still belong.
That's true.
You still
So
belong.
true. Yeah.
There's going to be some things, there's going to be obstacles, but at the end of the day, even if you have to say it when you wake up and before you go to bed, I belong.
Right.
I belong. If you got to write out the action steps under I belong, right? If you got to make them short, you got to separate them short term and long term.
Yeah.
I belong. And then sometimes if you got to give yourself a reason, I belong. I belong. I grew up in a single parent household. My mom did an amazing job raising.
Yeah.
I belong. My mom showed me how to do things at a younger age on a faster pace because as a single mom, she was doing the best she could.
Yeah.
He showed me I belong. I had to believe in it. So even if it's a circumstance that you feel like is hindering you, because you remember one of the biggest issues I had was growing up in the single parent household, but I always longed to have a father figure. And I let that distract me in a lot of ways. So I got past that and I start saying, no, Seria, that's not going to make or break it. You still belong no matter what your upbringing or what happened. And I believe that when you make that statement and you put actions behind it and you write it out, you got to see it.
Yeah.
Put it on your mirror. You can put it as a reminder when your phone go off at 5 a.m. Good morning, you belong.
So true.
See it and you put the actions behind it, I believe that personally, it starts within your heart and then it comes out in your actions and you start moving a little different. Your confidence comes out a little bit more. You know, like, okay, right there. She got a different walk.
Right.
And it's all because you're believing in yourself now. So you do belong.
Man, we could end the interview right here, sir. You taking us to church. Look, I'm inspired by your answers. And again, that's so true. I couldn't agree more. You know, you have to see it, right? I love how you talk about, you know, you ask for help. You know, I remember you being in the office and coming in to have different conversations. And then you start, like you said, seeing things like, okay, I'm going to just put the folders together from Math Academy. I want to be a guy, you know, I want to help myself, you know, and so you just kept going to the next level and you had, right? And you still got so much more to go. And so again, I just thank you for sharing that. I know you work in the high school space, and shout out to KIPP Memphis.
Yes.
I had the opportunity to speak to your seniors class of 2024, and I was just on a high the whole time. I think the program was too
We had an amazing time.
Yeah.
They loved it too. They actually talked about it after you left for a few days. They were like, oh my God, because they didn't expect you to, I didn't expect either to tell my story, but they were so inspired. So like hearing it, and it's so crazy because even now in the past few weeks, I've had several students. I had a student arrive today to UT Knox. I got several students into the University of Memphis and Lorraine and TCAT. They were really inspired. So thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, no, thank you. And that's what I was going to say, you know, when you work with students, right, you have to tell your story. You know, again, you know, people see Dr. Boyd, they see Miss Seria Ross, you know, they see, you know, 40 under 40. Sometimes we see only the highlight reels from social media. And again, that's another distraction, right? It could be led, you know, students only seeing, oh, Shawn out here doing this or Seria's doing this, but not knowing what it took to get there. And I think we have to do a better job of always like telling like, hadn't always been this. I had So I feel like the more I tell those stories, and I thank you for sharing yours today. I guess another question, you know, looking in the high school space, right? And working with the students you work with, what do you see as some of the biggest obstacles with those students? Like now, you know, we fast forward in 2024. So it's different when I was in school. I know even when you were in undergrad, right? You see a lot of different challenges. What's some of those common themes that you see amongst maybe class of 24, 25?
That I feel like a lot of people see in the high school realm. Social media, man. Social media, like you just mentioned. It could be used in a lot of positive ways.
Right. Yeah.
It also makes even the young people, 18, 19, 17, feel like they should be so far along. And you got to embrace where you're at. You're about to graduate. You're about to embark on the real world. No matter what your matriculation plan is, embrace the now. And a lot of times because we seeing, you know, the social media stars and different people embark on certain things.
Yeah.
That's the life you want, and it doesn't happen overnight. You gotta have patience. You gotta put the work behind it.
Right.
Now, you may have somebody where it happens and, it's an overnight sensation.
Yeah. Right.
But for the majority of the time, you gotta put some work behind what
It's
you want.
true. So true.
You gotta put some work behind you want. Another thing I say is I think during the COVID time
Yeah.
and the online, being aligned with school,
Okay.
and I feel like that kind of switched the motivation
Okay.
with students. You know what I mean by that is it was different going to school every day, and I feel like students, teachers became a little bit more comfortable. And so now we're still trying to get over certain obstacles and hurdles from the COVID era.
Yeah.
And being able to kind of help them get back into what we feel like was a norm prior to COVID.
Yeah.
And trying to help get back to a norm and getting back to, you're here, you're at school, you're in partisan, for the liveliness,
Exactly.
It was a little bit like a custom.
Yeah.
And in a more comfortable space. And so helping students get out that comfortable space and helping students really venture and think in the moment, in the now. I think that's another thing that kind of, it's kind of like, and it was out of our control. And so now what we're doing is implementing and coming up with ways to help them get past the COVID era. And I know it's going to take, it's going to take some efforts and resources and months and years. But I think helping them get out of that norm and get back into what was a different norm added with what we have going on will help them in a way of progressing through school and through those high school years as well.
So true. So true. And again, I just wanted you to, I know you work with these students day to day. I'm on the college rim. I may come in and come out. It's always good to hear someone who's with students daily to really talk about some of those, themes that they're seeing. And I couldn't agree more. You mentioned social media.
It's about also believing in yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have first gen students and you have students that are embarking on some totally new to them, showing them that's why I love college tours. I love having you come. I love having colleagues in the realm of education and other realms, entrepreneurship, partnering with Alton and different people to show them. It's one thing with me as a teacher to do it today, but to bring in different people, different outlooks, male, female, that look like us. Some people just hearing their stories, I feel like that helps as well because it shows them, again, I can do this.
So true.
I believe in myself. Nobody else around me may have done it, but here I am. I'm the first with the baton. I'm going to do it.
Right.
I'll get it, and then I'm going to pass it to my younger sister or to my younger cousin because now I've learned it so I can pass along what I've learned.
So true. And I love how you said it takes community. I think that's another question we always get, like, how can I get involved with the youth? And, a lot of times here in the city, right, people want to always kind of highlight the negative, right?
Right.
So many. That's why I love coming to programs like you had at KIPP Memphis and, different high schools because so many students is doing some really great things.
Amazing things.
And I think I even asked you, Seria, I'm like, what are news cameras? Y'all had this production and, y'all had all these, signing day and students excited.
Right.
But, it's part of the community. A lot of times we don't highlight those things. And so I like how you're saying you can get involved by contacting the KIPP Memphis or Memphis City Schools to say, I want to come in, I want to share my career journey or talk about my story. Those things are just as important. So definitely thank you for highlighting that. Guess what?
What?
We are at the end. That 25, 30 minutes goes by so fast when you have time. And so my last question to you, you've done some amazing things. I feel like your book is like you have 50 more chapters to go, right? There's some great progress. I know you received your master's from Jackson State. The list goes on and on. So what's next for Seria? Like, what do you want to do? You've done a lot, right? What do you want to do? What's the next thing for Seria Ross?
Honestly, you are a great example for things. No, for real, Shawn. I literally, as my mentor and seeing you and your journey, you have been a great example in helping me as I continue to add to my blueprint and grow, and grow it and build the foundation. I definitely want to work on getting my doctorate in education. It's
You won't go. No, you can do it. Yes, you got
what I really feel like God has put it on my heart to venture into possibly maybe either doing curriculum based work
good.
or consulting, being able to go to different schools,
Yeah.
higher education, or staying in the high school realm and helping them administer ways and how to teach and help students in their college and career readiness path.
Man,
And
so needed. Yeah.
it's been a passion for me, and I feel like I am being pivoted into continuing to learn where I am,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
making it into my own and making it into my own.
Man, that's great to hear. Look, I'm gonna hire you with Dr. Shawn Boyd Education Solutions LLC. Don't get on me. Look. But no, thank you so much, Seria. Part of this season, again, I was super intentional about who I brought on, and most of the folks that I have, I know personally. Like I didn't have to, script any questions. I'm like, hey, we're gonna have a conversation on camera. And so part of that was just giving my guests their flowers and how they inspire me. A part of the book, I love how you've been talking just throughout your conversation with your mom, your family. I know your mom and your family just right. Shout out to Dr. Jackie Faulkner, who kind of was the head of that office or was the head of that office, and really vision, just your job and just different folks you have highlighted. So I want to say again, you inspire me. I know we had to I did the ugly cry in front of your students because I'm like, man, my students, y'all are my why. Like I do this work daily, right? And so many nights I'm up or look, I'm actually reading a book now about first gen. It's good.
Right.
You gotta study, right? You gotta
continuous thing.
always. People think I get this degree. I'm like, no, I'm always trying to learn. I'm in workshops. I'm reading books. Best practices, and a lot of that comes with a lot of sacrifice. A lot of time, a lot of time away from family, travel. Folks like you inspire me. So keep doing what you're doing. Again, the best is yet to come from Seria Ross. And Seria, we're going to definitely share your LinkedIn information, maybe your email also. And I know you're the person, if someone asks questions, you will respond.
Yes.
So sometimes I say that people be like, look, I ain't got time to, but I'm like, real.
I will.
So yeah, so I thank you for being on the podcast, Seria. And again, we will share your information. But to the guests, I want to thank you for joining us, but please do me a favor. This video, when I say I'm taking like mental notes because you share so many great gems today. And so make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you share with other students, right? Parents, make sure you comment. Again, Seria is going to respond to those comments on that YouTube video when this drops. And again, we just thank you for tuning in. We will have another great guest this time next week. So again, How to Play the Game of College. Seria, what that book is one more time? Here we go. Here we go. So you can get this, of course, Amazon. You can go to our website. Y'all, I love how Seria got her notes in there, her sticky notes. That's why I put this out to really help students move to the next level when we talk about a post-secondary credential. Get a copy. Get a copy.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you again, Seria.
Thank you for having me.
All right.